U.S. car imports due to President Trump's tariff plan. Now, that includes about 37,000 cars sitting at U.S. ports right now.
Financial experts are sounding the alarm of the potential impacts of the global trade war sparked by President Trump's
slowdown has begun. Bookings of container shipments from China to the U.S. are down nearly 50%.
It started quietly. No alarm. No breaking news banner. Just a name removed from a shipping schedule. Then another. Then 10 more before anyone in Washington had time to respond. The damage was already spreading through the docks across the rails. And deep into the heart of the world's economy, as of June 9, 2025, 7 major ports around the world have canceled scheduled shipments from the United States. Entire containers of farm goods, electronics, car parts, and consumer products blocked, stopped, or simply rejected. And what caused it was not a natural disaster or a cyber attack. It was policy, it was tariffs, it was revenge. This is not a problem in the supply chain. This is a political fight turned into an economic weapon at the port of loss. Angeles, the numbers speak for themselves. 10 ship arrivals scheduled for the first 2 weeks of June were canceled, with no replacement. That is more than all the cancellations seen at that port during the entire year of 2024. And it is not alone. Long Beach, Oakland, Savannah, New Jersey, each one seeing empty sailings pile up as container ships from Asia fail to arrive, or worse, turn around before docking. Before we continue, hit that like button to help us beat the YouTube algorithm and to show your support. But this is not just about what is not arriving. It is also about what is no longer leaving across the Pacific. Revenge is happening. China has begun replacing United States farm shipments with contracts from Brazil. Soybeans, once a main product of West Coast export lanes, are now being loaded in South America, California ports that once handled thousands of tons of grain each week are reporting quiet terminals. One farm economist said it's simply even a 10% Chinese tariff on U.S. crops is enough to stop exports completely. And this is just the start. Major ocean carriers, Mediterranean shipping company Costco, Ocean Network Express have stopped at least 6 weekly services between Asia and the United States. These routes carried more than 40 FT containers each week. The capacity has simply disappeared, gone from the schedules canceled until further notice. The official term is blank sailings. But what it really means is this: thousands of businesses across the United States are now waiting for shipments that are no longer coming. Blank sailings have jumped to record highs in early May. Nearly 1/4 of all scheduled trans-Pacific trips were canceled. That number has only grown since. For importers, this means delays. For exporters, it means orders without transportation. For ports, it means idle cranes and empty docks. And for the economy, it means a slowdown that does not come from recession, but from revenge. This is what a tariff war looks like in real time. The collapse is not just hitting sea freight, it is hitting the air on May 2nd. China ended its exception for small value airship. The result: air cargo capacity from China and Hong Kong to the United States dropped by over 25% in a matter of days. Direct flights carrying electronics, clothing, and small machinery dried up. Online sellers were forced to delay or cancel shipments. Retailers across the United States started seeing shortages. This is not guessing, this is measured, and it is getting worse. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button to show your support to the channel. What makes this moment different is not just the number of cancellations, it is the coordination. Multiple ports across Asia, North America, and even parts of Europe are now changing schedules specifically to reduce exposure to United States-bound freight. That means fewer bookings, fewer containers, less traffic. And in shipping, less traffic means less money, less workers, and less confidence. Ocean carriers are responding the only way they can, by cutting capacity. Fewer ships, fewer routes, and when they do sail, they are no longer full exporters from the United States are watching their contracts disappear. Shipments of grain, chicken, and chemical products that once moved reliably are now sitting idle. Some are being sent through Canada or Mexico in a desperate attempt to avoid duties. Others are simply being canceled. California's soybean exports to China have basically collapsed. The shipments have not slowed, they have stopped. Brazil now controls that trade route. United States producers already hurt by rising costs are now staring at a market that has disappeared overnight. This is not just farming in the Midwest. Heavy machinery companies are reporting stopped orders. Farm equipment that should be moving through ports is sitting in warehouses. Steel shipments meant for global customers are now being redirected, in some cases delayed forever, and others sold at a loss to local buyers. Just to clear inventory, the effects are huge. Rail traffic is slowing trucking volume, is dropping warehouses, are filling with goods that cannot move. And this paralysis is feeding into the broader economy. Retailers are reporting inventory gaps. Electronics manufacturers say delays in part shipments are forcing production stops. Auto parts suppliers are warning of shortages, and in the background, price increases are building not because of too much demand, but because of limited supply. In the words of one industry expert, we are not just running out of parts, we are running out of routes. This is the moment where tariffs become more than a political tool. This is the moment where they change the map at the customer level. The impact is starting to show delays in electronics, higher prices on imported goods, reduced selection in key categories like appliances, home improvement, and car accessories. These are not luxury items, these are daily needs. And with every day that shipments remain canceled, the pressure grows the trade war. Once a concept debated on cable news is now happening. In grocery stores, hardware stores, and mechanic garages, prices inch upward. Availability shrinks, and buyers are left wondering what changed. The answer is simple. The flow stopped, and it stopped, because the world is responding to a strategy that no longer has clear rules. China has moved beyond matching tariffs. It is now using licensing delays, customs, slowdowns, and regulatory inspections to disrupt supply chains. Ports in Southeast Asia are quietly making United States-bound containers less important. European terminals are delaying transit clearances, and in the United States itself, ports are reducing work hours as traffic volumes drop. This is not a temporary disruption. This is a structural shift. And it is not the first time the world has seen something like this. In the aftermath of the 1970s oil crisis, the global supply chain was redrawn by necessity. After the financial crisis of 2008, the system shrank under stress. And during the pandemic of 2020, supply chains collapsed from both ends, demand shock and travel restrictions. But what we are witnessing now is different. This is a man-made economic blockade, one built not out of health emergencies or fuel shortages, but from calculated revenge and broken trust. Unlike previous shocks, there is no natural endpoint, no medical breakthrough, no market recovery, just more policy, more pressure, more risk. And for small businesses, that risk is life or death. Thousands of import shops, from furniture stores to car dealerships, are unable to predict what inventory they will receive when it will arrive, or what it will cost. Business owners are being forced to quote customers using 3 different pricing models. 1, if the item arrives without tariffs, another if it is hit mid-shipment, and a third if the order is canceled entirely. This uncertainty is destroying confidence across the business sector. Planning cycles are shrinking. Hiring plans are being shelved. Expansion projects are being canceled. The middle class is feeling it too when shipping routes collapse. Prices rise when prices rise. Credit card balances grow when wages fail to keep pace. Budgets tighten. One skipped vacation becomes one missed dental appointment. One postponed car purchase becomes another year with failing tires. These are not theoretical dominoes. They are already falling, and with freight volumes dropping, shipping companies are now preparing for layoffs. FedEx, UPS, and multiple regional carriers have quietly announced plans to reduce workers in their freight divisions. Trucking companies are stopping routes. Dispatch software platforms are reporting reduced load volumes. And container chassis suppliers are warning that idle inventory is now at levels not seen since the height of the pandemic. And yet, despite all of this, there is no clear plan to reverse course. The tariffs remain, the revenge escalates, the carriers adjust, and the customers lose. What happens next is no longer about diplomacy, it is about supply. And the question is not whether the system will adjust, but how much damage it will take along the way. this is no longer just a story about ships. It is a story about shelves. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss what comes next. Drop a comment below which part of this global shipping breakdown shocked you the most.